Welcome back to Movies Explained. Today's film is a crime drama from 1995 titled Casino. In 1983, Sam Rothstein, aka Ace, gets into his car when suddenly, the car explodes. The story then takes us back in time to Ace's life in Las Vegas. Ace, an expert bookie, is given the chance to run the Tangiers casino by mob bosses who finance it. His best friend, Nicky Santoro, is there to watch his back, and his love, Ginger McKenna, is by his side. However, they ultimately ruin the opportunity, marking the last time people like them would be given such a valuable asset. Las Vegas, a place where millions of people lose money, is surrounded by the desert, where many of the town's problems are solved through hidden burial. Ace, who was once a bookie and gambler, now finds himself in a legitimate position running a casino. He hires his old friend Billy Sherbert as his manager and starts his new life. John Nance is shown walking through a casino with a small suitcase. He enters the count room, where casino employees are counting money from the cash boxes. As Nance fills his suitcase with stacks of $100 bills, the voiceover by Ace and Nicky explains how the casino is rigged to win, and that the people in the count room are placed there to skim money off the top without being noticed. Nance then leaves the casino and heads to Kansas City, where he's greeted by Artie Piscano, and they go to a market where the Midwest bosses meet. Nicky's voiceover explains that these older men secretly control Las Vegas because they control the Teamsters Union, which is where casinos go to borrow money. The bosses want their cut, which is delivered in suitcases like the one Nance brought. Nance presents the money in his suitcase to Remo Gaggi, the outfit's top boss, who approves the amount. During a press conference for the Tangiers Casino, Philip Green, a young businessman, receives a $62,700,000 check for the new Tangiers, courtesy of the Teamsters Pension Fund. Andy Stone, the head of the fund, is portrayed as a legitimate and powerful figure, but he is someone who takes orders from higher-ups. Green is portrayed as the ideal front man, because he does not know or want to know too much about the shady dealings behind his loan. To run the casino, the bosses choose Ace, who is incredibly knowledgeable about gambling and has a history of making money. We see a flashback to Ace's early days, where he displayed an uncanny ability to predict the outcomes of various bets, making him a valuable asset to the mob. Ace is eventually convinced to take over the casino, but only on the condition that he can run it his way without interference. Ace is shown to be very detail-oriented and meticulous in his betting strategies, which makes him a lot of money for the mob, especially for Remo Gaggi, a high-ranking mobster who is a degenerate gambler. Gaggi instructs Nicky, another mobster, to keep an eye on Ace and protect him, as he is a valuable asset to their organization. In a bar, Nicky and Frank Marino are discussing payments when Ace enters. Ace gets involved in a conversation with Joe about a pen, which ends with Joe insulting Ace. Nicky, angered by this, brutally attacks Joe with the pen. Ace and Nicky are a successful team, with Ace making book and Nicky ensuring they always collect. The bosses in Vegas love them, as they bring in a lot of money. He hires locals with connections to maintain good relations. Ace keeps the casino clean and upholds strict standards. The casino caters to state politicians, who are essentially given free rein and whatever they want. One of these politicians, a state senator, is shown enjoying the casino's perks. However, Ace is more concerned about high-rolling gamblers like KK Ichikawa, who plays large bets and can cause significant financial damage to the casino. Ace and his associates work to keep high roller Ichikawa at their casino in Las Vegas. They trick him into staying by claiming his private jet is faulty and that all commercial flights to Japan are booked. They accommodate him with a whole floor of rooms and eventually win back their money plus some of Ichikawa's. With the hierarchical structure of surveillance in the casino, there's always someone watching someone else, all the way up to Ace, who watches the casino manager, and the eye in the sky watches everyone. There are also a dozen ex-cheats monitoring the casino floor to ensure no one can cheat the system. A hustler named Ginger is introduced in the scene, catching Ace's attention. She steals chips from the casino, but her charm keeps her from getting caught. She has a strong reputation among high rollers and casino employees, and she knows how to take care of people. Ace falls in love with Ginger despite her hustling ways, but in Vegas, love costs money. Ginger is focused on making money, pocketing cash, and taking care of dealers, pit bosses, and floor managers to maintain her standing in the casino. At the Tangiers entrance, Ginger exits the casino and hands a $100 bill to the older shift boss. She then gets into her car and gives a valet parker another $100 bill. Ginger took care of the valet parkers, who in turn took care of the security guards and metro cops, allowing her to operate without issues. In Ginger's apartment, she walks in with $25,000 and gives it to her old pimp boyfriend, Lester Diamond. Ace expresses his confusion over Ginger's inability to control Lester, despite having everything else under control. Ginger sees Lester as an unlucky guy who needs someone to take care of him. Meanwhile, at the airport, Nicky, his wife Jennifer, and their son little Nicky are detained as their luggage is searched by a customs agent. Back at Nicky's house, Jennifer shakes diamonds out of her beehive hairdo onto a towel on the kitchen table. They meet at Ace's penthouse, where Nicky and Jennifer are introduced to Ginger. Later, Ace and Nicky drive around the city, discussing Nicky's intentions to move to Las Vegas. Ace warns him about the challenges and the need to keep a low profile in the city. Nicky sees Vegas as an opportunity to exploit and control the criminal elements there. He shakes down bookies, pimps, and drug dealers, and devises a foolproof scheme for making money. When he wins bets, he collects, but when he loses, he refuses to pay the bookies. As Nicky is the muscle, no one dares to confront him. Nicky's presence in Las Vegas soon becomes known when he approaches Eddie and Jerry, two well-dressed men attempting to cheat the casino, and they leave after a brief conversation. At the blackjack tables, Ace notices a winner playing suspiciously well, using a signaling system with another man at a nearby table. Ace calls in security to discreetly apprehend the signaler. Security uses a cattle prod to stun him, and the crowd believes he had a cardiac arrest. The winner quickly leaves the table after seeing his partner caught. In a basement maintenance room, the signaler is interrogated and his hand is smashed with a mallet. Meanwhile, the winner is at the cashier's cage, attempting to cash in his chips. Sherbert approaches him, offering to take him to a private area to count his money. He is given a choice by Ace to take money and a hammer, or leave. The winner chooses to leave, and Ace warns him not to return. Later, Ace and Ginger are in Ace's penthouse discussing their future. Ace proposes marriage, but Ginger is hesitant, saying she's not in love with him. Ace insists that love can grow from mutual respect and promises to take care of her financially if the relationship doesn't work out, and they get married in a lavish ceremony attended by city officials, politicians, and gaming officials. Despite knowing Ginger's history with her ex-boyfriend Lester, Ace is confident he can change her. Meanwhile, Ginger talks to Lester on the phone during the wedding reception, admitting that she still loves him. Ace overhears the conversation but tries to comfort Ginger, assuring her that her past is behind her now. Ace and Ginger move into a luxurious house, and Ace showers Ginger with expensive gifts. They travel to Los Angeles, where Ace sets up a bank account under the name Mr. and Mrs. Tom Collins, containing $2 million in cash, and gives Ginger the only key to the account. At a Tangiers poker table, Nicky and his gang of card sharks are secretly signaling each other to swindle a mark. Ace watches the group and notes that they are making their signals obvious. He is concerned about the presence of undercover gaming agents watching Nicky's table. He approaches Nicky and warns him that the agents are watching. Nicky dismisses Ace's concerns, accusing him of worrying too much. At a different poker table, Ace notices a man has his feet on the table and tells Sherbert to ask him to remove them. He refuses, and Ace instructs security guards to forcibly remove him from the casino. As Cowboy is thrown out, he yells at Ace, asking if he knows who he is messing with. An hour later, Ace receives a phone call from Nicky implying that Cowboy's connections may cause trouble and asks Ace to let the Cowboy back in the casino. Ace agrees, warning Nicky that if the Cowboy gets out of line again, he'll be permanently banned. Meanwhile, Ace is managing the Tangiers casino and innovating the gambling industry. He brings in a popular show from Paris and introduces a sportsbook in the casino, becoming the trendsetter on the strip. Ace's success leads to him being celebrated and even awarded by the Vegas Valley Country Club. Despite the accolades, Ace warns Nicky that the authorities are keeping an eye on Nicky and want to put him in the black book, which would prevent him from entering any casino. Nicky dismisses the concern but acknowledges Ace's warning. At a black tie event at the Vegas Valley Country Club, Ace and his wife Ginger are surrounded by celebrities and the elite of Las Vegas. Ginger charms everyone, making people feel good and enjoy being around her. In a bank viewing room in Vegas, Ginger, accompanied by her 2-year-old daughter Amy, goes through large bank vault boxes containing her jewels. Meanwhile, Ace focuses on his work in the casino, discussing the arrangement of slot machines with Don Ward. He shows Ward where to position the slot machines for maximum efficiency. Ginger and her friend Jennifer enjoy the high life in Vegas, using Ginger's status as Mrs. Sam Rothstein to secure the best table at a fancy restaurant. As Ace feared, his friend Nicky gets banned from every casino in Las Vegas, forcing Ace to avoid being seen with him in public. Nicky is furious about his new restrictions, which prevent him from even entering a casino parking lot. Despite the severity of his situation, Nicky refuses to back down and vows to stay in the area, determined to fight against those who seek to remove him. Outside his newly opened jewelry store called the Gold Rush, Dominic Santoro and Marino wait inside while Nicky narrates how he created a crew of skilled criminals to rob high rollers, casino bosses, and bookmakers in Vegas. The crew includes Sal Fusco, a skilled burglar, Jack Hardy, who worked for a safe company, and Bernie Blue, an expert at bypassing alarms. In a luxury home, Nicky, Marino, and Hardy are shown stealing jewelry and struggling with a safe. Nicky dislikes the victims looking at him, so he turns their pictures around. Meanwhile, in the Gold Rush backroom, Nicky examines diamonds and warns a supplier named Pepe not to switch stones on them. Nicky has tipsters all over town providing information on potential targets, including bellmen, valet parkers, pit bosses, and secretaries. They all get a share of the loot. The crew is shown to be very careful during their heists, always bypassing alarms or drilling holes to break through walls with a sledgehammer. At a jewelry store, cops and detectives inspect a hole drilled into the wall by thieves. Ace's voiceover reveals that Nicky sees Las Vegas as the Wild West. In a Palm Springs jewelry store, Marino tries to sell stolen gems to two Iranians. They haggle over the price, eventually settling on $25,000. Nicky and Marino later sneak into Nicky's house, avoiding waking Jennifer, who is asleep on the sofa. Nicky's bedroom doubles as a bank vault, where he keeps the stolen goods. To launder some of the money, Nicky invests in legitimate deals with Charlie Clark, Ace's banker, and opens a restaurant called the Leaning Tower, with his brother Dominic managing the establishment. The restaurant becomes a popular spot, attracting celebrities, politicians, and showgirls. Every few weeks, Marino is sent by Nicky to deliver a portion of his earnings to the bosses back home. Marino hands Gaggy a thick stack of cash, and they discuss the state of their operations. Gaggy orders Marino to find out the names of the people who shot up one of his bars. He wants revenge and gives Marino the order to find out the names of the people at any cost. In a Las Vegas slot machine shop, Marino and Blue beat and torture Tony Dogs for 2 days to get information. Despite the torture, Dogs doesn't reveal any names until Nicky puts his head in a vice, causing one of his eyes to bulge out. Dogs finally gives up the name Charlie M, and Marino kills him as a favor to end his suffering. The scene shifts to the Tangiers casino, where Ace is furious with Don Ward for failing to notice a scam involving 3 slot machines, and eventually fires Ward. At the casino lounge, Ace and Green discuss a troublesome employee who is related to several powerful people in town. Ace is frustrated with the inefficiency and lack of attention to detail in the casino, including the uneven distribution of blueberries in their muffins. He confronts the baker about it, demanding equal blueberries in each muffin from now on. At Ace's house, his wife Ginger asks him for $25,000. Ace is suspicious and insists on knowing what she needs it for, but she refuses to tell him. Ginger goes to a bank and withdraws a large sum of money, which she then gives to Lester Diamond, her former lover, in a Salvadoran diner. Having followed her, Ace confronts Lester. He warns him to stay away from Ginger. As Lester leaves, Ace's henchmen start beating him up in the parking lot. Ginger tries to stop them but is restrained by Ace. They watch the beating from the car before driving away, leaving a battered Lester behind. Later, Ginger and Nicky discuss Ginger's marriage to Ace. Ginger is upset about Ace having Lester beat up. Nicky suggests that Ace did it out of love and jealousy. They talk about the valuable jewelry Ace has set aside for Ginger, and Nicky tries to console her. Emotional and grateful, Ginger kisses and hugs Nicky, who feels awkward. Meanwhile, Ace meets with County Commissioner Pat Webb in his office. Webb requests Ace reconsider his decision to fire Don Ward, who is well-liked and has influential connections. Ace explains that Don was either involved in a scam or too incompetent to notice it, and therefore cannot be trusted to work at the casino. Webb suggests a lower position for Don, but Ace maintains his stance. Webb warns Ace that he and his associates are merely guests in the city and may be sent home if they don't adapt. Later, Ace is suffering from an ulcer and realizes his pill bottle is almost empty. He confronts Ginger, accusing her of using his pain medication to get high. Ginger denies it and they argue about their relationship, with Ginger accusing Ace of not caring about her. Ace reassures her that he does care and wants her to seek help for her drinking problem. He promises to find a discreet program for her to attend. The story shifts to the Tangiers casino, where it is revealed that money is being skimmed from the cash flow. The bosses are concerned and put under boss Artie Piscano in charge of making sure no one schemes. However, Piscano is a disaster and unable to control the situation. Meanwhile, casino owner Phil Green is sued by his secret partner, Anna Scott, who demands money from the Tangiers. The lawsuit forces Green to open up the books and reveal his financing sources, which would be damaging to the casino. Before the lawsuit can proceed, Anna Scott is murdered in her home by Nicky, who was sent by the mob bosses to settle the case out of court. As a result, the police begin investigating not only Nicky but also Green, who was supposed to be their clean connection to the casino. Ace is being interviewed by a female Business Week reporter, while Sherbert and Ronnie listen in. The reporter questions Ace's role in the casino, and he admits that he is the boss when Mr. Green is away. Later, a magazine headline quotes Ace as saying he's the boss, which raises concerns among the gaming control board investigators. At Ace's house, Nikki and Ace have a heated conversation about their respective situations and how they're handling things. Nikki confronts Ace about treating people with disrespect, including Ace's wife, who has been confiding in Nikki about her problems. Ace asks Nikki to stay out of his personal life, and the tension between the two escalates. Meanwhile, Nikki is the main suspect in 24 murders and his name keeps popping up in newspapers, attracting attention from the FBI, and putting Ace at risk. Ace is trying to secure his casino license, but the FBI's presence is complicating matters. Later, Marino visits Gaggy's and hands him a bag filled with money. Gaggy is more concerned about newspaper headlines of a guy's head found in the desert and wants Marino to tell his people to be more careful. Piscano, the Kansas City underboss, is unhappy with his trips to Vegas and complains to his family, unaware that the FBI has planted a wire in their store. The FBI listens to Piscano's conversations and gathers information about Las Vegas and the casinos, leading to increased scrutiny on Ace and his associates. In a Las Vegas Gaming Control Board hearing, Ace, alongside his lawyer Oscar Goodman, presents his case to the chairman and 6 commissioner members. Despite presenting evidence that clears Ace of wrongdoing, the commission denies Ace's application. Ace confronts the senator and the situation turns into chaos, with Ace accusing the gaming officials of corruption and hypocrisy. Ace becomes the entertainment director of the Tangiers Hotel Casino and starts his own TV show called Ace's High. Meanwhile, he sues the gaming commission, angering the mob bosses back home. They want things to quiet down and suggest that Ace should walk away from the situation. Ace blames his friend Nikki for bringing down too much heat and causing problems with the police. Nikki and Ace have a heated exchange in the desert, with Nikki accusing Ace of talking about him behind his back and going over his head. Later, Nikki is at the casino, causing trouble at a blackjack table. Ace is called to handle the situation, but Nikki is insistent on getting a 50,000 marker instead of the 10,000 that Ace is willing to provide. In a lawyer's office, Ace and Ginger discuss their divorce. Ace doesn't want Ginger, who he claims is only sober for 2 hours a day, to have custody of their child. Later, Ginger goes to Beverly Hills with their daughter, Amy, and meets up with Lester. Ace believes they will try to kidnap Amy and asks for help from his associates. He gets a phone number and address and calls Lester, demanding to speak to Ginger and have his child returned. Lester denies knowing Ginger's whereabouts while she does drugs in front of Amy. Talking to Ginger, he suggests they take the cash and kidnap Amy to extort money from Ace. Since Ace knows where they are, Ginger calls Nikki in a panic. Nikki tells Ginger that no one will harm her and asks her to call back in an hour. Ace meets with Nikki in Ace's garage. Nikki suggests that Ace assures her she'll be safe so he can get his daughter back. Later, Ginger calls Ace and they discuss the possibility of her returning. After reuniting, Ace and Ginger try to have a civil dinner but end up arguing about the money Ginger spent while away. At home, Ace overhears Ginger on the phone, plotting to have him killed. He confronts her, and in a heated argument, demands that she leave the house immediately. Ginger insists on getting her money and jewelry before leaving. She returns home after a few hours and climbs into bed. Ace is torn between his love for Ginger and his desire to protect himself and their daughter Amy. The next day, Ginger and Nikki meet secretly in a construction trailer, where Ginger asks Nikki for help getting her jewelry out of the bank. Nikki promises to find someone he can trust to assist her. As they become more intimate, Ginger admits that she needs a new sponsor, and Nikki agrees to take care of her. Unbeknownst to them, FBI agents are watching and taking photos of their secret rendezvous, capturing the evidence that will damage Ace's reputation. When Ginger arrives home, they discuss her not answering her beeper, and Ace becomes suspicious of her whereabouts. He confronts her, and she admits to being with Nikki. She promises to stay away from him but meets with him again the following day in a motel. Meanwhile, Nikki's crew is spiraling out of control due to drug and alcohol abuse, leading to increasingly reckless behavior. Blue, a member of the crew, is shot by the police after they mistake his sandwich for a gun. In retaliation, Nikki's crew gets high and shoots up the houses of several cops. 2 FBI agents are staking out Nikki and Marino, attempting to read their lips as they talk outside the gold rush, with Nikki and Marino covering their mouths to avoid being understood. Nikki and Marino discuss suspicions and potential plans, including digging a hole in the desert for Ace. Meanwhile, at a nightclub, Ace can't find his wife Ginger and discovers she has tied up their daughter Amy at home. Nikki calls Ace to inform him that Ginger is with him at the Leaning Tower. Ace confronts Ginger at the restaurant, and after they argue, he forces her to return home, where they fight until Ginger leaves and returns to the restaurant. At the Leaning Tower, Ginger arrives in a frenzy, demanding that Ace be killed. Marino and Nikki try to calm her down and hide her car. Nikki questions Ginger about what she said to Ace about him and scolds her for not being careful. Despite Ginger's insistence that Nikki kill Ace, he refuses. Their argument escalates, with Ginger attacking Nikki and him retaliating by pushing her down the stairs. Marino intervenes, and Nikki forces Ginger out of the building. As she leaves, Ginger threatens to go to the FBI. Nikki and Marino reflect on the situation, with Nikki admitting he made a huge mistake by getting involved with Ginger. At night, Sherbert arrives at Ace's house with a shotgun. Ace lets him in, and they secure the house. He gives Sherbert a shoebox filled with cash and jewels to lock up in the hotel safe. The following morning, Ginger shows up at Ace's house, repeatedly ramming into Ace's car and demands to speak with him. Neighbors and police arrive as Ginger creates a scene. Ace eventually allows Ginger inside to get her belongings, supervised by the police. Ginger retrieves the safe deposit keys from a locked drawer and searches for money in shoeboxes, but finds them empty. She leaves the house, and the police follow her as she drives away. The FBI is also surveilling the situation. Ginger then goes to a bank and accesses her safe deposit box. Ace notices the keys are gone and immediately calls the bank. On the phone, Charlie Clark confirms that Ginger is at the bank withdrawing money from their joint account and safe deposit box and tells Ace that there's nothing he can do about it. As Ace and Sherbert arrive at the bank, the police hold them back, and Ginger speeds away. The FBI then arrests Ginger for aiding and abetting. Meanwhile, the FBI is also arresting other characters involved in the criminal activities at the casino. Piscano's expense reports provide incriminating evidence against everyone, but he suffers a heart attack and dies during the arrest. Ace is confronted by two FBI agents who show him photos of Nikki and Ginger, but he refuses to cooperate. In court, the bosses are arraigned, and some are so old they need doctors. When it appears they could face up to 25 years to life in prison, a meeting is held to discuss the fate of Andy Stone. Despite positive opinions about him, the bosses decide not to take any chances, and Stone is killed. A montage of murders follows, including the deaths of John Nance, account room exec, a clerk, and Richie. Ginger, who had run off and fallen into bad company, overdoses and dies in a motel hallway. After her death, Ace discovers she only had $3,600 in mint-condition coins left. Ace survives a car bombing due to a metal plate under his seat. Flashbacks reveal Nikki and Dominic's brutal murder, where they are beaten and buried alive. Ace narrates how Vegas has changed since the old days, with corporations taking over and transforming the city into something resembling Disneyland. In the end, Ace returns to his roots as a bookie, living alone and making money to support himself. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe for more videos.